I'm going to begin by thanking PPP for bringing forward this motion. And we are living through the most horrific times, so in that regard I'm grateful, insofar as one can be, that this chamber gets to debate what contribution Ireland can play, however small or large, in stopping the depravity that we are watching being inflicted upon the human beings in Gaza right now. Cahorlock, last week the Social Democrats brought forward a motion, as PPP do now. In it, we gave a range of measures that we, with the support of many thousands of Irish people who are watching their TVs in horror, who are taken to the streets to demand both ceasefire and consequence, who are writing to our offices to ask that we go further in our actions than we have to this point. We brought it forward because, like them, we believe that words have lost their meaning, and the Irish state should go further and attempt to enact sanctions on the state of Israel for the heinous war crimes that they are inflicted upon the Palestinian people, be that in Gaza or in the West Bank. I don't intend to relive that debate during PPP's motion, but I do wish to place on the record, the House, my abhorrence at the statement that was sent out from the Taoiseach's party, Fianna Fáil, in justifying their continued policies of words over actions, was continued today in the Taoiseach's own statement. Through their media appearances and from the party's official social media accounts, Fianna Fáil and their reps saw fit to tell others, and I quote, "This crisis should not be politicised." Taoiseach, let me tell you, as the person who proposed that motion, that there is nothing more political than the systematic murder of children, or what the United Nations have referred to as an impending genocide, such as has been inflicted upon the Palestinian people in Gaza by the Israeli state. And I will make no apologies for doing all that we can to push our republic into a space where we are offering more than harsh words on an international stage without the requisite courage to go beyond ourselves, to calling for actual sanctions, be that multilaterally. Of course that would be the preference, but that's not going to happen. So what we're demanding is the Irish state goes further in their words, further enact, and we'll come to some of the suggestions that we have made, both in this bill and others that we can do. The Taoiseach said that the Irish state is being held in high regard internationally, his comments. Held in high regard internationally by who? The bar is extraordinarily low. The US have become not only an apologist of genocide, but an enabler of it. The European Union, it's lost its integrity. Ursula von der Leyen not only would not show up, there would be thousands and hundreds of thousands of people outside to condemn the words that she's given, the free rein that she's given to the slaughter in Gaza. Germany saw fit to make illegal the protest of their own citizens against this slaughter. The world has lost their humanity, and do we stand there saying that we're held in high regard by it? It's fine, we can go further. We fought hard for our republic. I think we can go further, we're in it. Now, before it begins, let me make it clear that I don't believe for a moment that I, nor anyone else in the chamber, has a monopoly on compassion or concern for what is seen unfold in Gaza and the West Bank. More than that, I acknowledge fully the integrity and the efforts that were being made by the Taoiseach in trying to play his role in what he believes is the best he can do in bringing the conflict to a cessation, or at a very minimum, bringing home our own citizens away from that. But I fundamentally believe that we can go further. One of the areas where this motion does so well in terms of highlighting a source of diversion in terms of we can go further is the area of apartheid. And this government's refusal to endorse the findings and the recommendations of the Amnesty International 2021 report, Israel's Apartheid Against Palestinians, Cruel System of Domination and Crime Against Humanity. As you will undoubtedly know, that report publicly recognised that international crimes against humanity, including the crime of apartheid, as defined in the Rome Statute and the Apartheid Convention, are being committed by Israel against Palestinians in Israel and the occupied territories. As recently as September the 28th, I'd asked the Taoiseach if in his recent visit to the Middle East he had used the word apartheid. The response was given that, and I quote, "The government does not use the term apartheid." Furthermore, the Taoiseach went on to say that the justification was used by the government that they felt that the word in and of itself was unhelpful. Let me just say, Ireland has regularly and rightly named a range of human rights violations detailed in the report. Illegal settlements. We've talked of forced evictions. We acknowledge the demolitions, the tortures, the detentions, the unlawful killings, etc., etc. What they must also do, and what they haven't, is suggest that these are somehow not unconnected. That the culmination of all of these systematic forms of oppression constitute, in international law, the crime of apartheid. It was never about phraseology or about whether or not a particular word was helpful. It was a matter of law, and international law is clear that such a system of domination and oppression by one racial group over another constitutes the crime of humanity, against humanity, of apartheid. And now, just 2 months on since we've had that conversation, we're talking about very different, even more sinister words still, and the government and the Taoiseach still refuses to use them. War crimes, international law violations, ethnic cleansing, and most hideous of all, genocide, which is contained very well in People Before Prosperous motions, and which a comprehensive diatribe in which the Taoiseach responded refused to even use the word genocide. And we know the reason why he refuses to use it. But let me give a legal definition for genocide. The UN Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide defines genocide as any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in a whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial or religious group, such as the acts include killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and or forcibly transferring children of the group to another group or area within. It constitutes the crime of genocide. It's the Irish state, really, it's the Taoiseach, who only last week visited the Middle East, went to Egypt, went to the West Bank and went to Israel. And I share Deputy Murphy's comments on what he said in relation to that visit. Can he really avert his gaze and said what we're witnessing there doesn't constitute the crime of genocide? And we just pull away from it and we describe that as being statesmanlike. Let me just say, that is not statesmanlike, that is not diplomacy, that is an act of cowardice that just basically holds us just slightly above those enabling this genocide. We won't be complicit in it. There's a number of measures that we could take, we should take. Call it for what it is. I still can't get over the fact that last week a minister in their government, Simon Harris, referred to a war of children and peace cannot be built on the graves of children, and then saw fit to vote against any sanction for that. And the Taoiseach says that we're held in high regard internationally. What do future generations, when you read about this genocide in decades to come, think when an Irish minister can use those words and then vote against sanctions? It's unconscionable. Minister, your own party, in 2019, you brought forward the second stage of the Occupied Territories Bill. That was Fianna Fáil done that in 2019. One of the words he used then was, if not now, when? The Divestment Settlement Bill, which Sinn Féin brought a couple of months ago, Michael McGrath, Fianna Fáil minister, turned around and said, oh yeah, we're looking into it and seeing what we can do in terms of enacting it. It may take about 9 months. If not now, when? Your own MEP, Barry Andrews, thought to solicit the support of other members of your own European group in terms of enacting human rights clauses in the EU-Israel trade agreements. And last week, Fianna Fáil, and actually today, Fianna Fáil continued to call us naive for calling for those very same sanctions that you yourself once stood for when you didn't have to stand for them.
Thank you, Deputy.
It's an absolute,
the regional group,
go
Deputy
beyond
Sean
yourself.
Canning.
Have the courage to
Thank
go
you,
beyond
Deputy.
yourself. Words matter.
Deputy Sean Canning.